a way for the sake of retention that guys can get more time with family, with their
For sure.
kids, with their
I'll give you an
wives?
example. I'd never asked for anything. The longest break I had in my career was selection and training to get into my former command. That's not a break. That's 9 months of just kicked in the nuts. That was my longest break, right? I had 13 straight tours, raised my hand every time, volunteer. At the end, right? Post Bin Laden mission, hurt my neck. I go to my Master Chief and I'm like, hey, Master Chief, I need a break. My family's imploding. Like medically, something's wrong. I can't drink a beer without my arms going numb. Something's off from the crash. I don't know, but something's off. Look, will you send me to go be a green team instructor or something so I can take a wrap off for 18 months? I'm like, look, I'll go get my master's degree. I'll pay out of my own dime, professional development, whatever. I need to be home. I need to do something for me. I'm getting divorced. Like I got to figure out how to slow down. He's like, listen, I've got to move somebody to this other squadron, and I got your name on that billet. I'm like, I know, but that's not a stay-at-home billet. That's a deployable billet. He's like, I know, but I got to put somebody there, and we don't have enough people, and I've got your name earmarked for that. I'm like, well, Master Chief, look, I've never asked for anything. My family's melting. My neck is broken. Like, I got some shit going on. I need to figure out. Can you please find something? He came back a week later, was like, no, it's the only option you got. So that's part of the reason I got out.
Fuck, man.
So can it be fixed? I hope so, right? Could it be fixed? I think so. The priorities at the time were mission success, not Sean Ryan's mental health, Matt Bissonette's personal wealth, and any of that.
How do you think that worked out in the long term? You think that worked out
It
well
crashed
for
and
the
burned.
command?
You always take care of your people first.
That's
and
right.
They didn't take care of their people, right? 9/11, I saw a lot of changes between here and here. Right? I saw the tactics change. I saw the leadership change. I saw by the time I got out, right, every major officer I knew was writing themselves up for their own awards, and they were going to get promoted off the number of missions they ran, not off the number of bad guys they caught or doing the right thing. It was, okay, number of missions, amount of awards, all this nonsense. And then I saw the rules of engagement slowly starting to change, right? Making things more dangerous for us, right? So you'd have the Admiral McRavens coming in saying, okay, well, you can't use your dogs anymore. You can't go at night. Like, wait a second. We only go at night because it's safer to the force. We bring our dogs because our dogs save our lives nightly. But now the leadership's saying, don't bring your dogs because the locals are complaining about dogs being unclean.
What?
That's
Are you fucking kidding me?
serious, bro.
That was Admiral McRaven?
We had so many different officers and congressional delegations, right? We'd have congressional delegations come over. They would ask us, hey, are these new rules of engagement prohibitive, costing you more danger on target? And our officers would be like, nope, all good. Our senior enlisted Master Chief, I can remember a Master Chief, I'm not going to name his name, but he stood up in the meeting with the congressional delegation and said, well, with all due respect, I don't believe what the officer over here is telling you. I'm the one going on the ground, and yes, it is making it more dangerous for us. Nobody was communicating those things. I saw that slowly happening over and over and over as we're sent back to Iraq and Afghanistan, right, risking our lives. Well, the leadership is making it harder and harder for us to do our mission, and all of that was adding up to part of the reason why I was like, I'm no longer signing my name on the dotted line to work for the idiots.
Damn, man. I thought the leadership over a dev group was
Oh, it has its strengths and weaknesses. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's shitty, but I'm saying we've definitely had our less than stellar, right? When we get into talking about all the book drama, right? When that all hit, right? I reached out to my commanding officer that I had just left the squadron. I'd known him for 8 years, right? I'm like, sir. Right? The only thing I've ever been taught, if there's an issue, you communicate with leadership immediately. And that's exactly what I did. You know what that SEAL officer in charge of the SEAL community did? He replied, delete me. That's the only that's the only correspondence I've ever gotten from any leadership in the SEAL community since I wrote my book, or anything, period.
Wow.
So you want to talk about leadership issues? I'd say the community has a few.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that. Jeez. All right, well, let's move in. Let's go to the Bin Laden raid. Let's talk about when did that pop up on your guys' radar?
We just got home from a deployment. We just got home from Afghanistan, like 8 days prior. They pull 24 most senior of us in the squadron and briefed us up. Said, hey, look, we think we found him. We want you guys to plan the ground assault option.
8 days after deployment.
Yeah. Yeah, right after 10 days, something like that. Just come home. I should have been on leave. They pulled us in from leave and pulled the 24 most senior in the squadron.
Did you have any idea that's what they were going to talk to you about?
No, I had no idea. And I actually had a medical appointment that I couldn't miss the morning that they were pulling these guys down to this other facility to read them in. And I'm like, hey guys, I've got this medical thing at the doctor. I've set up, is it cool if I miss this, or do I need to miss the doctor's appointment to hit this brief? And they're like, no, you're good. Just drive down when you're done. So I finished my appointment and drove down. And then when I showed up at the facility, they'd already given the guys the brief and said, hey, look, we think we found the guy. We want you guys to plan the ground assault option. And boom. So then we got to work.
How do you plan that?
Just like we've done any other mission, right? The enlisted guys at the bottom who actually do it start coming up with the courses of action. We're somewhat limited on the way we could tactically action the target based off where it was, right? In Afghanistan, we'd grown very comfortable with not flying the helicopter to the compound, right? Landing 20 kilometers away and patrolling in. So, right, we're going to pick the lock on your door. We'll get you while you're sleeping. Don't wake up anybody in the neighborhood. That's much more of what we like to do. But because of where his compound was in the city, the odds of us landing 5 kilometers away, patrolling through the city, remaining undetected was low. So had we been compromised on that patrol, right, he would have left the building. So based off the building, everything we were seeing, that drove us to say, okay, well, let's go straight to the target. Mm-hmm. Fly the helicopters, and that's where that plan was started. Right?
Did you know that you had the new latest and greatest Blackhawks?
I don't know anything about any crazy Blackhawks.
Okay,
you can talk about them all you want, but I'm not saying anything.
Did you know you were going to get fancy helicopters to fly in for the mission?
Not immediately.
Walt's not going to come after you anymore after this fucking release.
Not immediately.
Fucking to you that, or any of these other guys. But so you had no idea. When did you have an idea those were coming?
In the mission planning. During the mission planning, they told us about certain assets that we could use that had certain skills that we needed, and so some discussion whether we truly needed it or not, and ultimately it was yes. So
how long did you guys have to plan the operation?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
As long as I've never rehearsed for any mission. Right, 13 deployments, never rehearsed for a single mission. Every deployment, go do your plan, brief the team, roll out the door, and go. The only mission I ever rehearsed for was the Bin Laden.
No
shit. Time I ever had time.
How? So can you talk about the 2 weeks from when
we
got briefed to execution? I mean, what was the pace like? What was
came up with our plan and then just started rehearsing our plan. We had a mock-up that we trained on. But again, even rehearsing on a mock-up where you don't know the inside of it is kind of irrelevant, right? We knew kind of the outside layout, and so you could go get a false sense of security running a dry run on a compound for time. But if you don't know what's in the house and what's going to happen in the house, you're getting a false sense of security of, oh, we ran this in 3 minutes. We cleared it in 3 minutes. Right? You're clearing a structure with paper targets and without any interference, right? So yeah, we spent a week or two doing that. Went out to another state, did some more rehearsals with the helicopters, and then came back. I can remember.
Is this like you wake up, rehearse all the way through the night, rehearse just all hours of the day, just rehearse,
that's it.
rehearse,
Day,
go to
night,
sleep, wake up,
and
do
then
the
when we
same.
weren't there, we'd give the people like, hey, can you update this on the mock-up? They'd update it. We'd come back the next morning and hit it again, or whatever it was, and just constant rehearsals. Yeah.
What did it feel like to get that brief? Especially not have no idea. You come back from a medical appointment and it's look at your buddies, the 24 that are going on, and they're like, "Hey, we're fucking hitting the number one guy."
That doesn't get you excited. Something's wrong.
That's what I'm fucking
Right?
saying.
Come on. Like you're like, holy fuck, let's go. Right. I'd been involved in one other spin for bin Laden years prior. So this one felt much different, right? The one years prior, right? It was flowing white robes were seen on ISR feed, and he's coming back into Afghanistan to make his final, take the fight to the Americans. And so it was this whole, it was a big shit show is what it was. All the officers, everybody wanted to get involved, to be involved. It was the closest spin of any intel they'd ever had on bin Laden. And so they just delayed. This big force got built. They flew in like B-1 bombers from the States. They bombed the shit out of an empty hillside. Right, like 3 days before they're going into the mission, right? They're going to take out bin Laden. They send me and another guy over to Pakistan to do some stuff there. So I'm literally on the Pakistan side of the border, dressed in Pakistani uniforms with a Pakistani element. And my guys are on the other side of the border. They're dropping bombs on a whole bunch of empty mountains. And, 2 weeks later, they're like, okay, bin Laden wasn't there, and they called us all home. So that was the previous spin. This one felt much different. This one was a lot more under the radar. It was quiet. It was like, okay, whoever lived there was significant, right? It was none of the intel that I saw was 100% proof positive. It was bin Laden himself, but it was somebody significant. So, okay, whoever lived there was going to have a bad night, but we would figure it out. I remember in one of the intel manuals, right? I don't even know who put these together, but I'm breezing through it the first couple days. Like on page 1 or 2, I see a statistic where it says you have up to a 70% chance being shot down on the helo ride in or the helo ride out.
Wow.
And I don't know who came up with that statistic. There was intel people at all levels throwing out different numbers and statistics, but I'm like, I'm not a numbers guy here, but 70%, that's just the helo ride. That's not dealing with the guys with the guns once you're there.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys think it was a suicide mission?
I've never thought any of my missions were a suicide mission. I refuse to think that way. Right? I don't care who. I'm not allowing myself. It's like my buddy in Buds, who every morning was like, fuck this, I'm quitting. I'm like, I can't allow my mind to go there because I'd actually quit. So I'm like, I'm not going to allow my mind to go anywhere other than we're going to move through this target and figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Can you run through the plan of what you guys developed for the night that it happened? And then
I love my Mike Tyson quote, right? Somebody interviewed Tyson after a fight. They're like, Mike, didn't you have a plan going into tonight's fight? And he looks at the reporters like, yeah, everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face. I love that quote, right? We had a great plan, super simple. Like we did in Baghdad, top down, bottom up, right? We were going to squish them in the main house. That was the plan. Pretty straightforward. We got punched in the face as soon as we got there, right? These helicopter pilots are amazing, right? I cannot say enough good about them. Rehearsals, everything, perfect. Everything to the second. I'm sitting in the left door of the helicopter, right? I'm going to be the first one out, chalk 1 on the left side. My buddy's on the other side, right? Ropes hooked to the helo, 40 feet up. We come to a hover. It feels like 4 hours. It's probably 2 seconds. And immediately the helicopter goes 90 and starts going in. I'm sitting in this door.
Fuck.
Helicopters crash very ugly, right? A plane maybe can come skidding in. My little chicken legs are hanging out the side of the helicopter, and we're going in this way to the side. Buddy of mine's holding me in. I'm literally falling out of the side of the helicopter as we come in and we hit. Nothing goes boom. Clear out your shorts, whatever you need to do to get back in the game.
Holy shit.